Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our channel. It's the Tribe Called Dylan podcast, and I'm Angie Dillon.
And I'm Rose Dillon.
And I'm Alvin Dillon.
And we are a Tribe Called Dylan. We got a special guest appearance today from yours truly, Mr. Miko Dillon. Can you see him?
Miko, would you like to introduce yourself?
You want to say anything, Meeks? No.
Man of many words.
Yeah, we negotiated that into his contract that he would be the silent member of the tribe. Welcome, Miko. I hope you enjoyed today's content.
High five. High five.
Oh.
Not today. High five.
Oh, he's in a mood today. Oh, okay. Let's not mess around with Miko. Speaking of content, what is today's content, Rose?
All right. So today we are going to cover gratitude and the power of gratitude. So I have a series of questions for you guys and let's get started.
Okay.
Ready?
Gratitude.
All right. So Al, what does gratitude mean to you?
Good question. I would have to say it's got a lot of facets to that question. I think the biggest one would be just being grateful and thankful to be alive. And not having to worry about safety, because there's so many people in the world that they wake up every day worrying about their safety, about if they're going to have a bomb get dropped on them, or where's their food going to come from, where's their next meal going to come from. So I have to say I'm blessed to be born in this country, born in this province with a great, loving and supportive family that allows me to kind of focus on me and focus on first world problems.
And what country and what province are you born from? Just for our viewers?
I'm born in Richmond, BC. Beautiful British Columbia.
Canada.
Okay. And same question to you. What does gratitude mean to you?
Oh, Al, you kind of raised the bar on that one for me. Stole my answer. When I think about gratitude, of course, it's about being grateful for all of the things that we are blessed with. And I think it's being grateful. It's ongoing because I feel that we take things for granted in life and we forget to be grateful and we forget to show gratitude. So for me, I'm just grateful to be alive. I'm grateful that I survived the pandemic and that I have good health. I've got, I like to think I have good mental health, and I've got a supportive family, friends. I've got a great job, and I've got great people in my life that hold me accountable for things. So I like that. So gratitude is something that I'm going to practice daily. What about you, Rose?
Yeah. So I think what gratitude means to me is even in situations where things are not going how I'd like it to go, is just to be grateful, because everything in life is teaching you something. And to find the gratitude in that is probably the biggest challenge. So for me, that's what it means, is finding gratitude when things are not going how I want them to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like in the tough times, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I think also, even though I say I'm grateful to be alive and all that good stuff, there are days where sometimes you're just in a bad, you get in your head and you're in a bad mood and you just want to say F everybody and F the world, and why do I have to get up and fight traffic and go to work? But when you actually just step back and look at what you're getting frustrated about, a lot of times it's just not, it doesn't have to do with what you're actually getting frustrated. Right. Something underlying or something you're not dealing with, like you're not happy in your job or you're dealing with some other stress, but you're taking it out in other ways. But yeah, there's some days where you just have to step back and say, okay, is this really a problem, or is this just something I've created and I need to just work through and just let it go? Sometimes there's days you just wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you just kind of have to let it be. I try not to focus too much on it, because when you do focus, then you actually get more frustrated. Yeah. So if you just let it go and like, it's okay, you can have bad days, but tomorrow will be a better day.
Agreed.
And just focus on that. And a lot of times you wake up the next day, feeling like 10 times better than it was the day before. But if you let it fester and kept like harping on it, you probably would have carried it into your sleep and then woke up the next day too, having a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
There I go.
Yeah. So okay, bye, Meeks.
That's great. Angie, I'm going to jump to you for the next question, then Al will work our way. But so how do you incorporate gratitude in your life?
That's a really good question. I'm trying to practice more gratitude into my daily life. And how do I incorporate into my life? I try and just look at, what's that saying? Is it the glass that's half full, and not look at the glass half full, but look at it and picture it, and look at what else, can I add to add to that cup, to make it better? And how can I blossom? So I think, applying this into my life, it's ongoing. It's going to be constant work because things bog us down, and it's so easy in a split of a second. Someone frustrates you. Like Al, you mentioned traffic in the commute or day-to-day struggles. Like if you don't want to get out of bed, there's so many things that, when in the grand scheme of things, that can bring us down. But I think incorporating gratitude into your daily practice of your life, whether it's meditation, just like you would go to the gym daily, or if you exercise, if you meditate, if you do yoga, it's regularly inputting it into your, not your diet, but into your life.
Mental diet.
Into your daily routine.
Your mental diet.
Into your daily lifestyle, and incorporating gratitude into your lifestyle. It's every single day. You have to say, I'm grateful for this. Thank you, and whatnot. And I think over time, it becomes a part of your DNA where you're just going to be kinder, nicer, and you're more pleasant.
Yeah. And I think you also have to be aware of when you, like, for me, I always find mornings are really tough for me. I just, like, I wake up, but I'm always just in like a little bit of a haze. And I find it's the first hour I'm just like, and it could go either way. Like if I start thinking about like, oh, what I have, so many things I have to do in the day, then it almost becomes overwhelming and you get a little frustrated. But I just say, you know what, I'm just going to focus on the task at hand right now, which is just get up, try to stay in a clear mind, shower, brush your teeth, eat your breakfast, focus on the one task as it goes. So you're not actually focusing on the whole day. And what I'll do is if I have a bunch of things to do, as I'm getting there and I realize, okay, I don't know if I can get all this stuff done, I try not to worry too much about it. Like, you know what? It is what it is. If I can only do a few tasks today, the rest of the tasks will carry over to the next day. Because I'm kind of like a perfectionist. I like to get things done.
Oh, yeah.
We know.
I like to, if I have 5 things on my list, they have to be done today. But I'm trying to like ease up on that because I've realized when you stick to like a really strict routine, you really create your own frustration.
Agreed.
So if you just let it go and go with the flow and take it one day at a time, things actually work out a lot better than you think.
You said you're not a morning person. Neither am I.
No.
And
I am.
I'm a 10 to 6 guy. Like, I don't want to start work before 10 a.m.
So 7:30 to 3:30 wouldn't cut it?
No. Every time I've had to work a shift before 10 a.m., if I send emails at like 9 a.m., I could proofread them like 5 times and they'll still have a mistake in it. And I'll send it off. And then after 10:30, I'll look at the reply and it'll be like, oh crap, I didn't realize that's what I said. It's like missing a keyword in there and going to like your boss or like a director. Yeah. And I tell everyone straight up, I'm like, don't expect perfection from me before 10 a.m. I was like,
and I think that's really important thing that people need to know, that don't beat yourself up or don't harp over if you're not a morning person, because a lot of this does come from like probably the way you were raised. For us, mom and dad were not morning people. But I mean, we always went to bed at like midnight. Like that's just why we always never woke up at 6 a.m. Like, if I go to my bed at 11 a.m., or 11 p.m., I'll be sitting there probably reading, watching some podcasts or watching some reading of something on my phone before I go to sleep around 12.
Yeah.
And it's just natural.
With our parents, when we're younger, because it's the nature of their work, they weren't early risers, right? They worked a lot of shift work and later evening shifts. And I think it's those blackout curtains they got for us when we were younger. Right. We never knew what time of day it was. And that was it's like, we tricked the kids. And they would always say to us, if it looks dark, don't get up, stay in bed. And it was always dark until 10:30 in the morning.
In BC here, and it's wintertime, fall, it's dark pretty much like 18, 19 hours a day. So it's kind of depressing. And that's what I found is that as I'm getting older, I really find the weather does affect my mood. Like I could be in a positive mood, but it's like throughout the week, by the time you hit the end of the week, you're fighting it because you're like, oh my God, it's been like 7 days of darkness and heavy rain. Yeah. You're like, I need some sunshine. So as I'm getting older, I'm really listening to my body and seeing that I do need sunshine all year round. And hopefully California, I might be coming to a city near you.
Well, I think not all year round, because the key is if you have it all year, that's when you don't appreciate it. That's where the gratitude fails, is if you have the same thing every day, you forget it. But when you have all 4 seasons, what I'm finally learning is you appreciate fall, spring, and summer now, because winter is so dark. Yeah.
But if you live in like 24/7 sunshine, you can always leave and go to go to winter time. Yeah, but if you want to go skiing, then you can go out there. But would you want to live in snow like they do in the rest of Canada for 8 months out of the year?
Agreed.
Where you have a part-time job of just shoveling snow all week.
True. But Vancouver is a very beautiful city.
I agree.
Amazing.
Very beautiful.
In the summertime, you don't want to go anywhere else.
Washington, the evergreen city.
Yeah.
And out of all of Canada, I do think Vancouver is the best city which some other people will disagree, but I'm a Vancouverite, so I'm going to stick with my city because I do really think it's awesome.
Let's take that question to you. Let's take it back to you.
Oh, yeah. So I discovered Joe Dispenza, I want to say maybe like 18 months ago. And I won't get into details, but Joe Dispenza is a doctor that kind of studies the brain chemistry on affirmations. And he did a lot of work on gratitude. And so he was saying there's a study he had done where they kind of measure the brainwaves of the participants on when they give them gratitude things to say or when they give them negative things to say and how it affected them internally. And so when I remember watching this podcast thinking, oh, I need to start incorporating in gratitude into my life. And I'll be honest, the very first little while of me incorporating gratitude, where every morning you're supposed to wake up and say what you're grateful for, it was a challenge. Because if I had a bad dream, I'd wake up in the morning and be like, oh, screw this. But I will say this, as time has gone by with repetition, I'm really good about every morning, no matter what, I wake up and I just say first thing, thank you to the universe. I woke up this morning. I don't know this numbers exactly, but there are a number of people that go to bed every night and don't wake up in the morning. Mm-hmm. And then that affects, not just that person who's left the world, but the family around them, their friends around them. So I'm always grateful every morning when I look, okay, I woke up this morning.
You're breathing.
Yeah, I'm breathing. Yeah. So I've really incorporated that into my every morning routine. And I have found it's helped me with my day. My day goes a lot better because I don't just start with that. Okay, I woke up and then I'm grateful that I have my family, I have my friends, I have my dog, I have a job, I have safety, like you said. And that's really helped me just stay more grateful throughout the day because it's just, I've embedded that in my brain now to do it every day.
I think you start your day off too on a more of a positive note too.
Yes, 100%.
When I was younger, I would say I never really practiced that. I would just kind of go with the flow, and there'd be some days where I felt like I was just a robot saying it, but I really didn't care because I would say, oh, thank you for my bed, or thank you for this food. But then like a half hour later, I was like, yeah, thank you for my dickhead boss that's going to piss me off today. And thank you for this garbage traffic that I have to deal with. And then you literally go from being somewhat positive to like positively negative, and then you find out by the end of your day you're kind of like, oh, I feel like a shithead right now, like I'm in a bad mood, and you're pissed off. But yeah, as you get a little older, you start realizing what's really important and what's not, and what's just like stuff that you're just complaining about
when you start doing the work.
And I feel like a secret or like a hidden trigger is complaining when you don't realize that when you start complaining about the weather, you start complaining about this, and then you find that you're just in a negative head state again, and you started off probably positive, but one little complaint started leading to other complaints, and now you find yourself complaining about everything. And I find that as I'm getting older, I tend to focus more on who's around me now that's complaining. And if they're complaining, I literally will kind of check in, like, hey man, just enjoy the day and be grateful about whatever you want to be grateful about. But let's just not complain, because complaining just like creates more negativity, and it like brings other people down. It's like a bottomless pit.
And that's funny because that was my question. It was like, what are some barriers to expressing gratitude that you have overcome? And so you said complaining is a barrier. Ange, what would you say?
I complain sometimes, and I'm guilty of it. And I don't even realize I'm complaining.
Yeah, but it's just automatic. We check you on it.
Yeah, I know. And I like that. I like that you check me when I am complaining. And I realize that I do it. And I don't intentionally mean to do it. It's just things bother me. And then I just say it out loud. So maybe I should just shut up and be grateful and not let those things bother me.
You're definitely getting better though, because your complaint department used to be like the internet, always on. And at least now it's gone down to like business hours. So you're getting there.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. That's because that is something that I am consciously and unconsciously making an effort to be better at.
Yeah. And we've all been there. It just depends on sometimes your situation. If you have like a work or a job that you're not like you're going to, or you have a tough boss to deal with, it's hard, right? Because you're seeing them 40 hours a week and dealing with them, and it's hard to stay positive and not complain about things like that.
Yeah. And I think I've really had to hone into like, why am I complaining? What's the root cause of my complaints? There's always underlying issues, right? Because you don't just wake up and be like crusty. There's things that are in your world, in your circle, whether it's your job, your friends, your relationships, just where you are in life, and not that I'm comparing where I am to other people, but it's just, I'm very hard on myself. I like to say I'm a high performing individual. I'm an overachiever. So I set set goals for myself all the time. And I want to just say like, Anne, just calm down. Just give yourself 2 solid goals this year, because I'll finish something and then I'll go on to the next goal, and I'll finish something and then it's like, I'll go on to very goal oriented. And I've noticed that.
I will say you're very good at accomplishing your goals.
Thank you.
You definitely are somebody that accomplishes every goal you've set.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. And I like structure in my life. And I feel that, because I have structure, it gives me a sense of purpose. Like I'm able to get things accomplished, and I like that, but I need to learn to, bend a little bit, be more flexible, not be so rigid.
Yes.
And I think that's where when things go awry, then I start to complain, because I don't like things, not out of order. I like things to function and be in order. So for me, yes, that's something that I definitely have that I'm working on. And Rose's iPad just fell on us. That's our Rose's iPad is our little timer, and it tells us like whether we're talking too long.
Pretty much.
Well, I wish it would tell us that. It's like, beep, you've been talking for 2 minutes. Shut up and let someone else talk. But yeah, that was our little timer to tell us.
And I wanted to add to that, because since we're on gratitude, when I said that to you, the first thing you said was thank you. So you are practicing gratitude on a daily basis.
Why, thank you. And I'm actually grateful for Miko. Miko's back. So I guess, Miko, are you intrigued by this gratitude episode? Yeah? Okay. Are you here to beg for some treats?
We'll add some doggy
going on
sound
here.
effects into it.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. He's got a mischievous log. He's up to something.
Well, he's happy. He just ate. He's good.
He's good. So I'm going to keep on going on this gratitude rampage here. And why do you think gratitude is so hard for some people? And like, maybe you can talk about yourself. Why was it so hard in the beginning? I mean, now it just seems like it's easy
I want
for
to
us.
say something
but
funny.
why do you think it is so hard for people?
Well, because we're assholes naturally. Just naturally, most of us are assholes. That's why.
I think we really have a tough time letting go, especially if you've dealt with a lot of trauma from your childhood, or currently are dealing with trauma, and you're in a stressful situation and you're financially burdened and you don't see a way out of it. Like you're just seeing there's no light at the end of the tunnel. That creates, I think, a lot of roadblocks for you to be grateful. And then you start questioning the world, and you say, why God? Why me? Why am I in this situation? But I feel like in 90% of situations, I know what you've been through, or I don't say what you've been through. You've been through a lot, but you got to take some accountability at some point. Yeah. And you have to say, well, if I have the power and the knowledge to be in the situation right now and think about it, I have the power to change it. And yeah, it's going to be hard, because if you're financially reliant on somebody else, or you have kids and you don't know what to do, you just got to take some responsibility and ask for some help and start making some changes, because change is the hardest part for people. Is that everybody fights it. They get comfortable. They could be in a toxic, abusive relationship, and they will still go through it and keep continuing being in the relationship, because it's all they know. It's like the hurt they know, and it's more easier than the fear of the unknown of what's going to happen if I leave this person, or if I go do something else or make a big change. It's just that fear is crippling to people. And I feel like we've all been in situations like that too, where you've been stuck in a rut and you just keep going that same cycle. And I think for me, what worked was I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Got sick and tired of your own bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah. You literally, because you make promises to yourself. Like when I was drinking or smoking, I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to drink today, and I'm going to go a month without it. I'm not going to smoke weed. You go 2 days and then you're back at it again, because you're not really dealing with the underlying stress.
Right. Because that's your pattern.
Yeah, I'm using it to cope. And then you harder on yourself, because you're like, wow, look, you can't even keep your own promises. You can't even go 2 or 3 days without it. You're back at it. And then it almost brings you down even more, and you feel like shit more about yourself. So it's such a vicious cycle. But everybody has to reach, for me, I think, as a rock bottom, is when you reach a rock bottom of finally just saying, I'm tired of this shit, and I'm going to make a change to be better, feel better, and do better. And then when you do that, the hard part is actually being consistent with that now. Because everybody can make a change for maybe a few weeks or a month and then go back to their old ways. Do you really want to see the change? Then you got to stick with it, and you got to be consistent. And those days, like when they say you don't want to be positive, you don't want to go to the gym, that's the day when you have to force it and say, I'm going to do this. Because then in the long run, after a few months, you start seeing the change. It actually becomes like a part of your routine. And you start becoming a better person. You start feeling better. better. And it's almost like natural now to you. It's not something you have to try to do.
The hardest thing is creating a new normal for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to just be like an elastic band and bounce back to the old way, because change is hard.
Yeah. And I found for me was like, first I'd be hard on myself. So I'm like, stop being a bitch today. You're going to do this. And then I'd find that only works for so long where like you're being hard on yourself. So be hard on yourself sometimes, but sometimes just let it be. Like if you didn't,
but I think be hard on yourself in a nice way.
Yeah, exactly.
In
like,
a compassionate
be
way.
Like, but if you didn't go to the gym today or you didn't make it, you had a bunch of other things going on. Just let it slide. But if you didn't do any of that stuff because you just sat and watched Netflix all day and didn't do jack all, then be a little tough on yourself to be okay, tomorrow we're not going to do this. But you're allowed to have your down days too. But your up days should be more
Your
outweighed
question,
than your
Rose,
down.
Well, I
yourself.
think, the barriers. I think envy, greed, these unfortunate negative emotions really do play a part. And I know that because that was a part of my journey for a very long time, where I would look at what other people have and then I would want what they have. And that doesn't help you with the gratitude. It doesn't help you stay gratitude for all you have, because you're always looking at what that person has. Yeah. So once I kind of got self-aware of that and took a step back and stopped focusing on other people and really doing a big detox from social media is what really helped me to just take a step back and say, okay, you know what? If I don't know what's going on, then I don't have any reason to not just be in my gratitude place. And I think that, again, social media has a great place, time and place for it. I'm not trying to shit on it. I think it's a great tool. But I think when you're in a place where you're maybe a little weaker and you're struggling, maybe just lay off it until you get stronger and then you bring yourself back to it. Because I do have my feeds that are definitely positive, happy things and things that I can learn and grow from. And that keeps me on that gratitude path.
I always like to give advice to people. Do a 30-day social media detox. Honestly, just close your account for a bit, or and is it close or block, or I don't know.
You can deactivate it, or just uninstall the app. You're still active.
Okay, and just see how you feel. Write down and keep a journal. I always recommend people keep a journal from like day 1 to day 30. Like, do you see a progression? Like, has your mood improved? And if that's what you need to do periodically to shut out the background noise from your friends or whatever everyone else is doing and focus on yourself, then so be it. That's the way to do it. But to go back, if I can add to your question, why do you think it's so hard for people to incorporate gratitude? Because I think it's people's circumstances, where all of us are in certain circumstances. God, blah, 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 blah. I can't talk today. I think a lot of us are in circumstances and situations that maybe we don't want to be in. It's not ideal. We didn't picture this for ourselves.
Right.
It gets us in that funk. So that's why it's so hard to be grateful, because it's like, well, look at my, excuse me for this shit life. I'm not where I wanted to be, or at least we all paint this picture in our mind of where we want to be in life. And when sometimes when we're not there and we don't achieve that, we kind of feel like we held ourselves back or we set ourselves back. And that's where frustration comes and gratitude takes a back seat.
Yeah. And I think at those moments when you're down and you're in the low, that's when the little bit of a jealousy and envy comes in, because now you start seeing other people being happy, or especially if you're on social media, like, oh, wow, look, they went and took a vacation to this beautiful place. They're partying. They're having a great time. They're living that. But all we're seeing is what they're posting and their version of what they think is happiness.
Okay. So guys, we're going to wrap this up now with the final question that I have for you guys. Why do you think gratitude is so powerful, and why it's so necessary?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
For me, I would say it's necessary to just have a better world, because the world's always at war and there's always fighting. And if you look at history, human beings are the only ones that will go and kill each other nonstop. Animals usually kill to survive. So tiger and lion, they kill because they need to eat food, and that's what their instincts are. But for us, if we're just not happy with ourselves, or we're angry with you, or something we think you did to piss us off, if we have access to a weapon, or if we don't, we'll kill you and we'll take your life. And there's some people out there that have so many mental issues that they've taken multiple lives and they have no regrets, no sympathy for it. And I think if you come from a place of gratitude, your outlook on life is completely different. We've all been at those states where you feel like you deserve, or you're self-entitled. And that creates, I think, just a toxic environment in your own self, like your own soul, your own mind. I feel like your intuition really tells you and leads you the way to what you're supposed to be doing, how you're supposed to conduct yourself. A lot of it does come from what you've been taught from your parents growing up, where you taught manners, skills, how to talk to people. But you yourself know, if you go somewhere, you go to a store and you steal something, that's something that you didn't pay for, you didn't earn. How do you feel when you walked away from that? Some people feel like it's a high, like, oh, I feel good. Most people like me feel like, oh shit, I feel bad. Like I stole something that's not mine. I need to return that. I've been times, places where I've been to a small business and they forgot to charge me something, and I walk away and I'll go back and say, hey man, you forgot to charge me for this. It's not a large corporation where they can write this off. It's a small business, but there's just that I think not the intuition, but it's that sense of, that voice of like, hey, do you want to be the bad guy? Do you want to be the good guy?
It's your moral compass. Do the right thing.
Yeah. I think a lot of us have that, but based on our circumstances and our situations that we're in, it gets clouded. And especially if you have addiction issues or you have other stuff that you're using to cope with, they start messing with your mind and you're not thinking straight. So especially with alcohol, most times I've seen is people, when they drink too much, they get aggressive and they get violent. It's not like weed where I've seen someone smoke so much and all of a sudden they fall asleep. With alcohol, you see a different side of people come out, and the next day when they sober up, they're a whole different person. And they're like, oh man, I regret.
Think, what you're saying, because I'm not a drinker. I mean, I've occasionally had a pina colada, but what I've noticed is there are two types of drunks: the really angry drunks and the really happy drunks, right? So the drunks that are really angry, they've got underlying issues obviously going on, because that's why when they drink, and they say, there's that saying, the truth comes out when you're drunk, because you just naturally, you reveal the truth of what's bothering you, right? So I think like you're saying for you, I guess, were you an aggressive drunk when you drink?
No, I'm always chill all the time.
Okay.
But I just felt like as I was getting older, I was not happy with my current situation I'm in, because like society tells us at a certain age, you should be either married, have kids, you should have a house, you should have a nice car, you should have a good career. I unfortunately didn't have any of those things. And most of them I was happy with, but the financial part for it was really getting to me, because I found like, oh man, if I go on a vacation, I got to save like 6 months worth of income to go enjoy a good vacation. You come back, you're just in a cycle of like just getting by, spending, getting by. And then what do? You start drinking and you start smoking weed, because that's instant gratification, where it doesn't allow you to worry about tomorrow. It doesn't allow you to worry about yesterday, because you'll forget it. You just stay in the now. And then eventually when you find like, well, this is not going to last forever, because for me, I found when you kept drinking, the mood was starting to change. I was not just happy all the time, because it wasn't like a weekly thing. It was becoming more and more and more, and you needed more and more and more. And you're kind of like not getting angry, but I'm just like, I'm numb. I'm not happy anymore. So
and you lose that sense of gratefulness, gratitude.
Exactly. Right? And I started losing the being grateful of just the daily things. It was be more entitled to like, why is my food not here? Or why do I not have this? Or why it becomes, I start blaming the world for my problems, when I really wasn't actually taking accountability to say, hey, how about we stop drinking, stop smoking weed, and figure out what's actually causing these problems or causing me to feel like this, so I can fix that, move on, and get better. But I feel like we all have a habit of hanging on to things from the past. We dwell on the past of how things didn't work out and why were we in the current situation. And that negativity really brings down your gratitude. And if you kind of get rid of that, gratitude starts coming in and you start seeing it and you start feeling it. So it's an everyday battle, though. It's not like an instantaneous thing where now you're just happy all the time. You're grateful. You got to actively, it's a work in progress. Absolutely. And you got to actively be grateful.
Yep. Rose, for yourself?
Yep, I agree. It's something that I know I have to do on a day-to-day basis. Even when I'm having a really hard day or hard moment, I have to break that cycle with the gratitude. And so for anyone who's listening and who finds that challenging, I've been there. It was very challenging in the beginning. But I do promise that if you keep continually doing it, the brain loves repetition. Even when you're not feeling it, it does become a part of your DNA as time goes on. So I do find that gratitude is very powerful, because when I do have moments, whether it's at work, whether I'm traveling, or I'm just out somewhere and something's frustrating me and I break it with that gratitude, it does help me get back into the present moment, which I really appreciate.
I think for me, just practicing gratitude, it creates an instantaneous, I like to do the snap, instantaneous shift in your mind. Have you noticed? Because you can be in a funk, having a bad day, you're frustrated. And I try and right away, it's like compartmentalize that day or that event that's, triggering me. And the minute I think, God, and you know what? Just be grateful. You have a job. Just be grateful that you can go down the street and you can go buy yourself a burger or a nice meal to kind of, ease off a stressful day. And the minute I start thinking about something else or or be grateful for something, I notice a shift right away in my demeanor, my energy, my body language. My shoulders are no longer shrugged. It's like, I have options. Okay, girl, you got options. You go get yourself a burger and you just shrug off whatever's happening to you today. Tomorrow's another day.
Yep.
That's a great answer, Ange. I love that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Yeah. Well said.
I'll go get myself a New York style cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory.
I think we all just sometimes when you get in that funk, just take a step back and look at why you're really like
check
in
yourself.
This. Yeah. Exactly. Why am I feeling like this? What got me here?
Yeah.
And once you actually look at it, a lot of times you're like, damn, I can't believe I let that thing piss me off, or I can't believe that I let that driver irritate me that much because he took my power away.
Yeah.
And now it's time to bring your power back.
Don't wait for someone to check you. Check yourself. When you're like, hold up, what is going on? You don't need anyone to check you or someone to say something.
It does help.
Check it.
Constructive criticism does help. But if you don't have anyone around you that will be honest with you, check for yourself. If you're not feeling good, something's wrong.
And you know your own body, your own mind better than anybody else.
You got to live in there.
Just like Ice Cube said, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Oh, wise words. Wise words. All right. So should we close?
Yes.
Rose, you want to close? Who wants to close today?
I'll let you do it.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, folks, thanks again for tuning in and listening to us. If you guys enjoyed it, you guys feel like something resonated with you, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. And we'll catch you again next week. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.